Let's start at the top. Christian, I knew you were looking at State's quarterbacks. I mean, we know Blake Shapen and what he can be coming back off of injury, but there's a lot of talent in this room as well. But let's go through the quarterback room. Just what are your thoughts on this unit as we start the season?
Well, yeah, I mean, it starts with Shapen and his health, and then after that, I mean, everyone's kind of fighting for that backup spot a little bit, but I think it's clear cut. In my opinion, I would probably go. Uh, well, actually, I saw yesterday they officially named Kromenhoek from Florida State. I believe they did. They not name him the official backup.
I don't think there's been an official naming of a backup yet. I think that battle is still ongoing, from what I can understand.
Okay, I thought I had saw it somewhere. I could be wrong, and it could be misinformation there. But I think it probably should be an obvious choice that you go with him behind Shapen, and then after that, man, you just kind of you you kind of build on the depth from there with uh
Kamario
I'm
Taylor.
drawing a blank. Kamario Taylor, yeah, that's who I was thinking of. Thanks. I was drawing a blank on his name, but yeah, you basically just build the depth from there. This is Shapen's team. I think he has shown that at times that it can be his team and that it is his team. We talked a few weeks ago about the big concern is his health. And if he's not ready to go, Kromenhoek or somebody has to step up in his place. And you have to be ready and prepared uh, to take those chances.
Yeah, the depth is interesting. I do want to hit on Shapen, though, for a bit. I'm really optimistic about him, if he stays healthy, having a really nice season. I think, man, every time I turn on social media, I think most people have come around, and it's kind of a vocal minority type deal, but there's still a very strong segment of the fan base that is convinced State needs to make a move to, Kamario Taylor is kind of the name that everyone is really intrigued about because of the potential there. And with I think there's a lot of people who look at Shapen and they just sort of like, well, he's the starting quarterback when you get blown out at home by Toledo. He's the starting quarterback when you get down big against Arizona State and you're back down big against Florida. So clearly Blake Shapen is the problem in their eyes. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you Shapen played perfectly in all of those games. He had a terrible fumble against Arizona State. It was a dumb decision. He should have taken a sack. He tries to throw the football away. It turns into a defensive touchdown for Arizona State. That in a game you lose by 7 points, that was a pretty critical play. Now, if you take a sack there and you punt it away with the way State's defense was playing, I think Arizona State just goes down and scores either way. Probably doesn't make a difference when it's all said and done, but that is a defensive touchdown you gave up in a 7-point game. Right. The game against Florida, a lot of people have pointed out, like the second play of the game, he had a touchdown open and he didn't see it, which that one's a little, I don't blame him as much on that one because I do think his primary read was the dump off in front of him on this play. And I know I'm referencing a play that a lot of people are not going to just be able to remember. But that's one where I understand he didn't take the shot, but it was there. And if he had seen it open, that's a touchdown. Toledo, there were a few plays where he tries forcing the ball when he probably didn't need to. Also, Toledo's defense just played really well and just had State's offense as a whole really in a stranglehold that entire night with the game plan that they brought in. So, I think Shapen I'm not saying he's a perfect quarterback, but he gets painted as, well, because he's the starting quarterback in these games, clearly it's his fault. And I've gone back and I've watched all of this, and it's like, I don't know what Shapen is supposed to be doing when every time he drops back to throw, his offensive line is getting him killed. And when they go to run the football, they have numbers to run the ball. They'll hand it off, and multiple offensive linemen just miss their blocks, and the run game goes nowhere. And this is an offense that really has to have its run game going to be successful. This is not the air raid. I need to hammer that point home. This is not an air raid system where they are just trying to spread it out and throw the ball constantly. And they're built around throwing the ball, no matter what, whether they run the ball or not. The way they go about throwing the football in this system is off of play action. It's off of RPOs. You need the run game to be effective for those things to be consistently effective. And just because of the way they play with spacing, the structure of everything. The run game is key in this system. And for Shapen's time as the quarterback, they were not running the ball effectively. Now, that Florida game, his final start, they started to find some success in the run game. That was probably their best rushing game of the year between the three running backs that they were playing at the time. And you started to see the offense, I felt, clicked a little bit better, and Shapen was able to be a little bit more comfortable in that game. They got down big early, but there was a few missed opportunities in that game. That's an example of, I think, if you had him throughout the whole year, and you started to see, like I said, State ran the ball a little bit better as the year went along, which helped out a freshman in Michael Van Buren. I think it would have helped out Blake Shapen well, and he probably takes better advantage of it by having that run game to help him out as a veteran QB who's then going to better recognize when he can take advantage of the defense from a passing game standpoint. So I don't really blame him for the issues State had offensively in those first few games. And look, people don't like the taking sacks things, I think bothers people. But again, some of that just goes back to it. Some of it's protection. Some of it, you do have to get rid of the ball, but there's also some elements to just how the offense is structured that kind of puts the quarterbacks in those positions at times. I'm not trying to just get into a bunch of scheme talk here, but I kind of can't help it as I talk about the quarterback position and what the offense has to be able to do. All I'm getting at here, Shapen has displayed a lot of traits that I think are very good for this system. His ability to get the ball out quickly in the RPO game. I think he's accurate in the short to intermediate passing game, which is something that we did not get from Michael Van Buren a year ago. He's got a good enough arm to push the ball downfield and can be accurate on those deep balls. He has some mobility to his game to where if you need him to extend a play with his legs, you need him to go get a first down. You need him to keep it on a zone read. He can do those things. Now, you're not going to want him doing a ton of that because of the injury concern, but he can use his legs as a part of what he's going to do. I think Blake Shapen is set up year two in this system, the comfort that he's in, with better protection in front of him, with a good group of skill talent around him, ideally a better run game to lean on. I think Shapen's going to flourish, and I really have high expectations for what he's going to be able to do this year. I understand people see the shiny new toy in Kamario Taylor and are excited for that. And look, to kind of get into the depth, I do think I will not at all be shocked if Kromenhoek is the backup. Like if situation if Shapen goes down, who do they turn to? I think they would go to Kromenhoek. I think if it's an extended period of time, like we saw a year ago, that's where I would not be shocked if they turned it over to Kamario Taylor, because the kid is special. He's got raw talent and ability that you don't see a lot of, which I understand. That's why people want to see him. There was a picture going around from practice where you see Kamario Taylor, who's about 6'4". I think he's up to like 230 now. When he checked in at about 200 pounds at the start of camp, and he's put on that weight because he's put on the muscle, and he dwarfs everyone else in that quarterback room, which, I mean, Kromenhoek's a pretty big guy himself. But like he dwarfs Shapen at least, and Shapen's not a big guy. And there's a lot of like, we want that guy at quarterback. And it's like, I get it. I get the excitement. You got to go with the veteran hand right now. And I think that veteran hand is going to play really well for them. But, if he does go down, I do think Kromenhoek is a capable backup. And I think Kamario Taylor is really exciting. There's a ton of talent in this quarterback room. And if they have to go to their depth, I think they'll be okay, whether it's Kromenhoek, whether it's Kamario Taylor. But I really like what Blake Shapen's able to do. And I think he's going to have a big year running this system.
No, I agree. And I think you hit the nail on the head, especially talking about the backups too, especially with Kromenhoek. Like, there's not it's like I've been saying the past couple of weeks, man, it starts with Shapen. There's not a wrong answer at who's the key go-to guy next, if it's Taylor or if it's Kromenhoek. But it seems as if that Kamario Taylor is going to be the guy there, and that's probably your best bet to roll the dice with, I would say. So, but yeah, no, I think I how do I want to put this in terms of like their quarterback depth? I don't think there's much to worry about. There's a little bit if you want to have some concern. We're not going to hype them up to be like Texas or Alabama or anything like that, obviously. But it's don't look at it either as, man, they're down bad at that position. I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, if there's any concern from the depth standpoint, I think it's purely the experience of the backups. Kromenhoek made starts for Florida State last season. I think he started 2 games, played extensively in a few, in like he didn't redshirt, so it was more than 4 games that he played a year ago. So he's got playing time, which certainly helps. And again, he's been a starting quarterback at the power conference level for Florida State a year ago. But at the same time, he's still a sophomore. And, now stepping into a new system that he's not been in. So you don't have a ton of experience there. And then Kamario Taylor, obviously, true freshman. You just don't fully know. That would kind of be the only thing is you don't have a backup in the room who's like been around, done this for a long time. But frankly, you don't get that in college football anymore. Those guys, they transfer and they go elsewhere. So you kind of just have to bank on the talent that you have in the room. And I think you couldn't ask for more talent in that room right now than what you've got. It's a good situation to be in. I think that's going to be it's going to be one of the better rooms State has on the offense this year, because I think Shapen's going to have a big year, and I think he's got some really exciting players behind him. And I do think from a passing game standpoint, as now we'll get over to talk about the receivers and the tight ends here for a bit.
Yeah.
Even though this is a run-based offense, as I kind of talked about, something Jeff Lebby has done is expand things a bit to have more diversity in the pass game. We didn't get to see a lot of that last year because I think, 1, it's year 1 of the system, and 2, especially once you go to a backup quarterback as a true freshman, you kind of got pretty limited in what they were able to do. I talked about this a couple episodes ago. They ran like 4 or 5 plays in the pass game throughout the season. With Shapen, they're going to be able to do a little bit more. And I think they've got receivers who will let them do a little bit more. I think you are going to see even as an offense, I do think we'll want to run the ball more consistently and effectively. I think from the passing game standpoint, they're going to be built to do a little bit more than maybe they did a year ago. So this is a really intriguing offense because of that.